All right, here's the second part of the demo, and I'm going to talk about adding effects and doing some mixing. I had a little change in plan. Since I had a microphone set up for my acoustic guitar, I decided to leave that mic up when I played with my hollow body, and I recorded the hollow body also through my modeler. So I have 2 tracks of guitar here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go out somewhere into the middle of this. Oops, I didn't want to do that. If you drag this, it will bring the measures closer together or farther apart. See, I'm stretching things farther apart. I meant to click in this area. Here, and how I did that. If you make a selection, you can make selections like this. Click and drag along that timeline, and then you can select loop. So now if I play right here, it's going to go into that section and it's going to start looping. So here we go. And what I want to do first is I'm going to try to get a balance. Oops, I did the wrong thing. I wanted to mute Band in a Box. I already had played around with the pans. So this is the one with the mic. Mic is here soloed. So it's got a lot of high end on it. I thought I'd just bring in a hair of that. And then have a lot more of this guitar. Can't hear the rhythm guitar very much. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to mute that. Now I'm going to listen to Band in a Box and get some levels here. I'm thinking that I'm just going to use bass and drums. Yeah, bring the overall levels up. Maybe a little stronger on the drums. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I want to get through this without being a real long video. So let's listen to it all. I think the guitars could be a little louder. So here's where I'm using the group instead of messing with the little guitars. I peaked out right there, so instead of making the guitars louder, I peaked here. I'm going to make Band in a Box quieter. I'm still peeking out. Make the guitars a little quieter. I'll just go to and Band in a Box a little quieter. Okay, that will be good for now. And so next thing I listened from the start, and what I wanted to do, and I want to pan the guitars. I'm sorry. Let me do that first. Already got this one over to the. I wanted to solo this, not muted. I'm gonna bring this one a little over to the right, and this one further to the right. A little. There's more clarity already moving these to different sides. So now that's maybe make it a little more extreme. Let's hear that with the rest of the band. Okay, and going down to look at the drums and the bass, and I wanted to show you something. They're stereo track files. I don't see any reason to have the bass be a stereo file, so I want to show you this. If I right-click the bass track and I go to Item Settings, I can go down here and I can Reaper will convert it to a mono track. So there's bass as a mono track. Well, let's listen to that. Peek out there. through that section without clipping. So I'm looking right here. So I'm going to make it. Okay, oops. So that's good. So I got my balances. I showed you how to do mono. I want to show you something else. I'm not using the piano, but I'm going to solo the piano right now. Here's the piano. And when you pan the piano, you're really increasing the volume on one mic and decreasing the, see, the piano was recorded with two mics, decreasing the amount on the other mic. So what happens is, if one of the mics is more towards the bass and the other is more towards the treble, you're actually changing the balance of the piano when you play with mute. And so what you can do is you can right-click the mute button, and you've got different kinds of pans. And you can go to this dual pan, and I just did it. And see, I can pan each side now. So if I wanted to bring the left mic more towards the center, and maybe narrow it a little bit, try to get some more clarity with the other instruments. Bring that down a little bit. Unsolo it. So we'll move on. I just wanted to show you how to deal with a stereo track if you wanted to do panning. With the bass track, Band in a Box, for whatever reason, it brings the files all over as stereo. Regardless of whether you click that stereo button, all the real tracks come over as stereo. So with the bass, I converted it to a mono track. With the piano, I didn't want to do that because it actually is really a stereo track. And so I showed how you can play with the pan of either side. Drums I won't touch because I want them wide anyways, because part of the kit's going to be to the right and part of the kit's going to be to the left. So moving on, I'm going to show you now how to add effects. If you want to remove this selection, you can just right-click in the timeline and say Remove Selection. And so, well, before I do that, I decided that I wanted to start this with, I'm not going to, well, first, I'm not going to use the piano, so I'm just going to delete that track. And I'm not going to use the Band in a Box guitar, so I'm going to delete that track also. So those are gone. And I wanted to just have the guitars and drums playing at the beginning of this song, and then have the bass come in at the B section. And like I said, I put in these markers, so I'm going to just click and drag. Well, let me show you exactly what I did. If you slide the cursor over to the edge, see how the arrow changes to this cursor? Now you can shift and drag. And I'm taking away part of the, I wanted to go to B1 right there. So now the bass isn't going to start until we get to here. And I'd actually probably sound better if I brought the bass in a little bit earlier. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit so I can see better. Let me move over to where the bass is. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it a little bit this way, something like that. See how that sounds. Let the bass have some pickup notes into that. Yeah, I like those two notes. I'm going to just take this. This is fade in, fade out. So I'm fading this in just a little bit because we're starting on a where the note had already started. So that sounds good to me. And so next, let me adjust my mic here. The mic's messing with me. Next, I will start adding some effects. First thing I'm going to do is add EQ. And so there's a couple ways to do it, but I like to do it this way. So I'm going to go to, I'll go to Guitar 1, and I clicked, let me show you that again. Sorry, went too quickly. This little bit here that says effects, you can just click the mouse right on that, and it'll open up this window, and you can say add. Actually, it's already up, and I'm going to add a EQ, and so I'm going to go to Cocos because these are Reaper's effects, so you'll definitely have these. And I'm going to select an EQ, and while I'm at it, I'm going to select a compressor. Yeah. Oops. Select a compressor. Say OK. So I've got an EQ and a compressor in there. I want to have EQ on a lot of my tracks. So you can just shift the EQ. Well, first let me mess with it a little bit. I'm going to solo this guitar. I can go back somewhere in the middle of this. We'll do it right here. That's fine. I'm going to make a selection on a loop. I'll select it there. I'm going to loop, and I'm going to play. So I like to have a, I'm just going to do two things with, I'm going to do a high pass, and I'm going to do a low pass. And I'm just going to manipulate those. You can just drag that. I want a different bandwidth. And all I'm trying to do right here is, I'm going to turn these ones off, enabled. I'm turning that one off for the time being. All I'm doing right here is trying to get rid of the very highs and very lows, kind of out of our hearing range. And I'm going to change that bandwidth. So up there around 20K past where humans hear, and just hiss lives up here, and some low rumble lives down there, so we don't really need it. So you can listen to the guitar, and I'll go to number 1 again. So we're listening to the low end of the rhythm guitar. Does it change? I just want to make sure at this point that I'm not doing any harm to the tone. And I'll go to 4 and do the same thing, listening to the high end. So I don't think I've done any harm. So this is, I do this on all my tracks, but it's easy to do since I've set it up once. I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to put the cursor on top of that effect, and boom, I've added it to guitar 2. And I'm going to add it to this other guitar 2, and there it is on that one. And I want to add it to the drums and the bass too. Up. I was adding the compressor. That one's the EQ. So let's put that on the bass. Okay, there we go. I'm going to solo the bass now. Actually, we're hearing both the bass and the guitar because I have them both soloed. There's just the bass. I'm going to go to the second band. Well, first I'm going to not enable the first band. I'm going to go to the second band, and it's a band. It's what I want. I want a, and I'm going to throw this up. Well, I need to enable it. And I'm going to make a narrow, pretty narrow, and throw it up like more than 6 dBs. And this is what I do with EQ. Something happening here, giving the bass a lot of body right in this frequencies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back to 0, and I'm just going to unenable it. And what I've done is I've just made a marker for myself later if I want, and I can see that I probably don't want to, oops. So I've got a marker there on number 2, right here. And if I want to add more body to the bass, I know where those frequencies are. And I'll slide that around, like I'll try to find, you know, the sound of the plucking of the strings, and I'll put a marker there. And then when I'm mixing, I've already marked the spots where those frequencies are that I'm interested in. And so if I wanted to, I'm still on 1, I want to take that down just a little bit. So if I wanted to, 2 is enabled, I could add some gain there. And I wouldn't want the bandwidth to be that narrow. And I can add some more body to the bass that way. But I'm not doing that right now, so I'm going to unenable that. So I'm making markers, and that's the way I use EQ. And then as I'm doing the mix, I'll come back, and I've already made those markers. So I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to move on because that's taking a lot of time. It would take me a lot of time to play with EQ on all the tracks. I'm not that fast. So I'm not going to go into details of working with these effects. I'm just going to show you how to add them. So I go back in here. Did I have the compressor here? I didn't have the compressor there. I want to add the compressor to my guitar tracks. Okay, I've got the compressor on all my guitar tracks. So way over here. Okay, compressor. It actually has presets. You can go look for an acoustic guitar. I don't usually like a ratio that high. I'll bring it down to about 3. I don't like it doing that much. This is showing you when it's compressing. I only like it to compress once in a while, especially on a lead track. On a rhythm track, I might do a bit more. Without the compression, listening to it with the compression. Guitar 2, track 4. Track 4, I'll solo. Let's listen to it without the compression. So I don't think I'm doing any harm. I'll just get a little bit more volume out of the track that way, and a little bit more clarity, because the notes that I pick too low will be able to sound out a little bit better. So there is compression, and I guess the next thing I want to show you is let's unsolo that. I'm going to add a track here. It's going to be a reverb bus. I'll give it the name reverb. I'm going to use, let me add a reverb in here. I'm going to use a reverb that I like and I'm used to. You're probably not going to have this reverb unless you have Sonar. I don't think it's necessarily the greatest reverb. I'm just used to the controls. And so I'm going to mute this so that it will work as a bus. I don't want any dry. I want it to be all reverb. And I'm not going to play around with it too much. I'm going to get a little bit of the low end out of the reverb. And now I have to create some sends. So let's go ahead and solo this guitar. I'm going to create a send by clicking right in this area. It brings this up. I'm going to send this to the reverb. And I want it to be post fader. That's what I like. And so now there's going to be reverb on this track. Okay, that's okay. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on the reverb. Now if you shift and drag the reverb, I can add it to the other guitars. And I'm not going to have as much reverb on guitar 1, so I'm going to take that off a little bit. And I'm going to drag it also to the drums and to the bass. And the bass, I'm going to take the reverb off a bit more than a bit. Maybe the drums down just a hair. Okay, let's see what all that's going to sound like. Okay, and now in the master effects, I like to add this one effect I have. It's kind of a master compressor to finish things off. I'll go to final mix here, and all I'm trying to do here is squeeze as much volume as I can without really compressing things very much. So if I play this again, I'm looking to show me that I've got some reduction. That's too much. I just want to see that yellow light once in a while. That's more or less okay. So I don't want that click. I'm going to slide this. And actually, this is a magnet right here. If you unclick it, it won't be grabbing those grid lines, and I can go in between. What is this one here? Oh, these two guitars. I'm going to shift click, so I'm affecting both of them. And I'm going to drag these out until they start playing. Yeah, right there. Actually, I can get rid of that noise too. And this is just going to make, see there's some noise right there that we don't need. So I'm going to drag that right there too. So we're going to start with some silence here. Just cleaning things up a little bit. So here's the silence, dead silence. See, those guitars sound a lot better with that reverb. And then for some reason, Band in the Box brought me more than I wanted. So I'm going to, oops, wrong. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to go out and, that's a long ways. I want to bring the drums and finish them where I finished the guitar. Drums and bass. I'm just shortening the whole tune right now. So I clicked and dragged those over here. I'm going to do a fade out. Long fade out. Let's see, I lost my spot there. Okay. So just try that much. And I'm going to change. If you the fade out, I'll show you how you do that. You hover your mouse there and see when it changes to that, you can just drag it at that point, and that creates a fade. But I'm going to shift click all these. I want a different kind of, oops, I got to shorten these more, because that's where the rhythm guitar stopped. And I want a different kind of fade. Where was that? Right there. If you right click, it will show you these different curves you can create. I want to create that one. And I want to do the same thing on that guitar too. Oops. Right click. I'm going to use that one, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but let's hear what that sounds like. Oops. Okay, that's good enough. And there's one other thing I wanted to show. I'll just do this on right about here. I thought I played a little bit. I played the guitar part too quietly. So I'm going to create what's called a volume envelope. I'm going to make another track here. I'm going to slide it up to here. And I'm going to make these go into that. So I only have to do one volume envelope instead of one for each of the guitars. I'm going to spread this out more. And more than that too. So I can see what I'm doing real easily. So this is going to be lead guitar group. Yeah, I shouldn't have spelled it that way. So see, it's too quiet right there. So if I go into lead guitar, I need to make this bigger so I can see it. This little symbol here, you can click that and you can create all sorts of envelopes, even things that will do your effects. So I'm going to do volume. And there's my volume envelope. And what I can do, I create a few nodes like this. It's just shift click. The cursor will change when you do the shift. It's too quiet right there. So let's say we want to change it from there to there. So I can just raise the volume right there. And now the volume's been raised for that section. I'm going to do a little bit more. So now those notes are coming through clearer. Okay, I'm going to get us all in that same area again. And tighten that up. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you, I believe. And so that's a real quick mix. Actually, start here. Okay, so that's it.